Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mario Cristobal Show presented by Kia. Joe Zagacki alongside my broadcast partner, Don Bailey Jr. This week, it is Miami and Florida State, the 68th rendition of the Hurricanes and the Noles from Tallahassee. Miami leads the all-time series 35-32, but the Canes are coming off a hard-fought and a very tough loss.
They are, Joe, and it's unfortunate Miami lost at NC State, but I think it's perfect timing for Miami, Florida State. You want the attention of your football team? You get it this week. You want your attention Monday till kickoff? You get it. There's no bigger, better rivalry than Miami, Florida State, and it's this week.
Florida State is a junior-senior team, did a great job in the portal. They've won 15 straight games. They are in the ACC championship game. They're headed for the college football playoff. Miami can stick a pin in all of that.
They sure can, and wouldn't that be nice? But it's been a slow build. Let's not forget, Coach Norvell's first year, he won 3. The next year, he won 5. Year 3, they won 10, and now from that 10, they're on that win streak that you talked about. But they've done a nice job bringing in players that have been impactful from everywhere. There's a lot of portal players and transfers on both sides of the football.
Canes and Noles, Hurricanes and North Carolina State. We'll talk about both with Hurricanes head coach Mario Cristobal coming up on the Mario Cristobal Show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mario Cristobal Show presented by Kia. Joe Zagacki with Don Bailey Jr., University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal. It is Florida State week. Miami and FSU getting ready to do battle and engage in their rivalry. We'll talk about the Noles coming up in a moment. This past weekend, the Canes went to Raleigh. Coach, hard-fought, physical football game, came up on the short end. What prevented you from winning that one?
Well, we played hard, as you mentioned. We played tough. We played physical. The defense gave us every chance in the world to win that football game, but we turned the ball over. We fell short in the red zone, and it ended up being the ultimate difference. You know, it's something that's plagued us for a couple weeks now, and we've got to get it right. We've got to get it fixed.
Coach, the turnover was put to rest a little bit, but it surfaced again, and I don't care who you are, if you're turning the ball over 3 or 4 or 5 times in a football game, it's nearly impossible to overcome.
We sure, we felt we had put it behind us. We've emphasized it, we've worked at it, but obviously not well enough because it showed up again, and it showed up in critical moments as well. And even after we had forced a turnover and had a chance to put some more points on the board in their side of the field. So certainly it's right back to work at it and finding a way to get it better, finding a way to get it done. Coach,
the scoring, you're not getting points in the passing game. That makes it really hard in college football, right? Because that's where you get layups. When you analyze that, how do you try to find a work around that or try to fix getting points in the passing game?
Well, you know, what they play coverage-wise is very unique. It's very different. You end up getting a lot of either drop 8 or cover 0. So you're either getting rid of the ball quick or you're hanging on to it and you're trying to find windows, right? And the windows are small and they close quickly. So you've got to be really good in the run game. Felt like we did that for the most part, had some good chunk runs. Certainly felt like we had a chance to get ahead, you know, on the sticks or whatnot, but we just, we got to design it better, we got to coach it better, we got to execute it better in the passing game because, you know, certainly we, you know, we've regressed there, but we don't point at anybody in particular. That's not the way we operate. We take it as a whole. We take complete ownership in it and got to get better.
Coach, let's talk about Mark Fletcher. The high school numbers, 4,000 yards and All-American and everything you want it to be. And we're starting to get some real good looks at him. And he's different, plain and simple.
Yeah, he is. He's big, he's tough, he's explosive, he's unselfish because he's a great blocker in pass protection as well. Determined, very driven. And I think it's he's a great reflection of this freshman class. You know, all of a sudden he's starting, and so is Francis Mainoa. You know, so is Ruben Bain. A bunch of other guys are getting playing time. Just overall, very pleased with him and the rest of those guys in that freshman class.
If we pick up on your defense for a moment, seems like they are growing in a lot of different ways. Physically, also maybe schematically because you're changing some things there. There's a point in that second half, I think North Carolina State had 5 yards. So your defense is really starting to give you an opportunity to stay in these games.
That's a very hungry, driven group of guys. You know, they're getting better and better. Coach Guidry and those guys have a special connection. He throws a lot at them, but they're able to handle it, and they're able to just tweak things enough from week to week to try to gain an advantage. And then they play really, really hard. They run to the football. They force turnovers. They play together, and no matter what the score is, no matter what the situation, they just keep coming, and they've given us a chance to win a lot of football games this year.
Coach, go to the secondary. You lost a couple guys nearing the football game, and didn't seem like you lost a beat. I mean, you were able to fill in, and those young guys came in and did a great job.
They did. Both, Devontae, Damari stepped in, Jada stepped in. All those guys went in there. They did a really good job. They've gotten reps throughout the course of the year. They've been continuing just to excel at practice, and then they had their opportunity for extended periods of time. They did really well.
Francisco Mauigoa, your middle linebacker, he's brought so many different things to your team. And watching him the other night, he's chasing after that quarterback. He's got his eyes on him. He's making plays down the field, in the backfield. But he also does a really good job of, I think, probably bringing your team together. Can you talk about the impact that he's had at that position and for your team?
Great leader, unselfish, hard worker, great juice, great energy, great family. He embodies a lot of the traits that you want in team leadership. He's part of the leadership council, and him and the rest of that linebacking crew, they've just done a really, really good job of just circling the wagons, making sure that we're focused on our job, and he makes a much better football team.
Coach, football is so segmented now with parts of the field. The red zones, Miami did not do what you wanted them to do. We didn't do a great job in that area. How do you work on that and break it down into other areas of the field too?
Yeah, third down wise, on defense we were excellent.
Right.
On offense we were not. And part of that is not getting in third and manageable, right? Mm-hmm. The first down penalty, a legal procedure, a holding call, getting us behind the sticks. We only had one negative run, which is pretty good considering the amount of runs that we threw at them. But all in all, it's just it's critical. It's critical for red zone football to be on point, third down football to be on point. Getting in the red zone is one thing, finishing in the red zone is another. And you want to finish with touchdowns, especially when you play deep into your conference schedule.
Well, the topic, obviously, Tyler Van Dyke, and he, to be fair, he made some really good plays. He got hit in the mouth a couple of times and hung right in there. And of course, we know about some of the mistakes, but how do you manage him and his mind? And this is a tough position to play in South Florida, so you got to be a tough player.
It is, but I think if you coddle your players, I mean, you're doing a disservice to them as a human being. Life is rough and tough, and man, if you're affected by social media or words, brother, you got another thing coming. There's 300-pounders trying to tear your head off on a day-by-day basis. So that part of it has to always be irrelevant. It has nothing to do with the work. How do we treat him? Honestly, openly, and fairly. He's a tough guy. He's a competitor. He wants to win, and we treat him like anybody else. When things aren't exactly the way you want them to be, and we don't perform to a certain level, you don't point a finger at the guy. You don't. You take ownership as a team, and you work together to make it better, and you go right back and find a way to fix it.
Coach, fix something for me. I've heard throughout college football the last few years, everybody talks about make sure that this team or that team or any team, every conversation around college football is about the energy that comes out at game day. And for the life of me, how can anybody lack any energy on game day? But it is a real story in college football.
I don't know. I mean, we focus on our own energy. We bring our own energy. We pack it when we go on the road. We pack it when we go to our hotel here locally. At the end of the day, when you put on the film, you're going to be able to tell, maybe not always in the score, but you're always going to be able to tell in the style of play, to what team does it mean more, right? Because are they playing just really, really hard? Are they trying to finish plays? Are they trying to push piles when it's all jammed up? Are they trying to just exhaust themselves on a play-by-play basis? Because if they are, well, then their team means more to them than anything else. So, it's energy, but it's passion, and it's just an absolute desire to not be denied.
But you also build that at practice. I mean, I watch your practices. There's no walking. There's no. It's a high energy practice every single day.
Yeah, you want to make it so that practice is harder than a game day, right? Game day is always your reward, and by that I mean you get to put all that hard work and that rigorous training to good use. So without a doubt, you got to practice a certain way to be able to play a certain way.
Coach Shuley used to say the thing he would miss the most about coaching was game day. So when he retired, right, game day is the best. Your team, this is, when you get beat, everyone wants to harp on the negative things. But we're nine weeks into this. You've made significant progress in a lot of different areas: culture, playing hard, and a lot of young players are contributing. I mentioned earlier that you had injuries at the cornerback. Damari Brown had to go in there. Fletcher's playing. Now we know at tackle. So there are some positive things happening for you going into this big game against Florida State.
Yeah, there's plenty of positive. We want to win every game. So unless you win every game, it's never going to be good enough. And that's our own expectation. No one could set a higher expectation for ourselves than us. And we own it. We're all about it. But you look at us systematically, our offenses, our defenses, albeit the last couple of weeks for the passing game, our systems have put us in the top 25 nationally in just about every single category. Special teams as well. Our roster continues to improve. Academically, it's a whole different animal right now. Culturally, it's a whole different animal. There's a lot of progress. We got bowl eligible by week 8. It hasn't stopped. Certainly, we don't love the regression and certain things like we just talked about, but there's no shying away from it. We attack that as hard as anything else to make sure we get back on track there. So I think everyone's really enthused and excited about it. Everyone's ready to get right back to work, ready to prepare and know and understand the importance of daily preparation for this game.
Coach, you came through this program like I did, and the one thing that was common is that every day there's competition for your job. It doesn't matter the position, doesn't matter what time of year. And week 9 or week 6 or week 11, there's still competition for your job, and it's reviewed and a decision is made every single week based on performance.
100%. And we can't ever get away from that model. That blueprint has always been very important in Miami's continued success, and it's been a big part of our progress. So that will continue. We'll continue to add more quality depth, over time as well to make that even a higher standard. But without question, yes, that's critical to the operation.
All right, Coach, we'll talk about the Florida State Seminoles coming up. But first, time for our high performance moment of the week, presented by Kia. And watch this one, Jaden Davis forcing the turnover, coming off the edge like a rocket on rails. Hit the quarterback right where you're supposed to hit him.
He did, Joe, but give Jaden Davis credit. He did not tip off the fact that he was coming. He remained square at the line of scrimmage, and the quarterback did not even look that direction. He also got some help from Ruben Bain. The guard and the tackle on that side were occupying Ruben Bain, knowing that they had to keep their quarterback protected. That opened up the blitz. And then, of course, Jared Harrison Hunt. Heads up play. Once the ball is knocked loose, he gets on it, secures it, gets the Hurricanes a takeaway.
Second time this year that Davis has forced a key fumble. That is our high performance moment presented by Kia. All right, it is the 68th meeting between Miami and Florida State Saturday at Doak Campbell Stadium, 3:30 kickoff. The Noles have won 15 straight games. They are 4th in the country. You've been in this rivalry before. This is a game of meaning and magnitude.
Mm-hmm. It means a ton to everybody involved, right? Alumni, fans, the respective teams. It's the most intense, the most passionate rivalry there is.
Not much to talk about the rivalry. If you don't know Miami and Florida State, you probably hasn't been around college football. Talk about the difference between the energy and determination in this game. And what I mean by that is you can't get overhyped. You've got to make sure that you keep a lid on a certain amount of it.
Yeah, well, I think like playoff football, like conference games, rivalry games are such that you never have them all the way closed out and you're never all the way out of it, right? They go so many wacky and different ways because, everybody wants to achieve the goal of winning so badly. So it's the best way to describe it, the intensity and passion unmatched.
I have to have a bungee cord for this guy, Coach, in the booth when Miami plays Florida State to hold him in. He wants to go out there and play. They're getting really good play from their quarterback. Jordan Travis is playing at a really high level, presents multiple problems right through the air and with his legs.
Without a doubt. Sees the field really, really well. Great pocket presence, quick release, very accurate, can make every throw, can do it with his feet, great command of the offense, tremendous player, one of the best in the country.
Defensively, Coach, they're doing a nice job, very consistent. They've got players and difference makers at every level.
They sure have. I believe they're top 10 defensively in several categories, and they've played against some very good offenses. So again, very, very impressive outfit, very impressive unit. They play really hard.
Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, both really talented wide receivers. They bring a lot of size. Now they've been injured, but I would expect them to go. What kind of problems do they present for you?
Well, they've got backs that complement that as well, tight ends that complement that as well. But they're not only size guys, they're speed guys, and they make contested catches. They block extremely well, and they play hard. That's probably the thing that stands out the most.
Coach, Trey Benson you originally recruited him at Oregon, and he was a player out there for you. And then last year he was 990 yards on the ground. Strong, powerful, can run and catch and produce big plays. Mm-hmm. He's a very talented guy you have to keep an eye on.
Very talented, excellent young man as well. Comes from a great household and a very good football player.
Coach, on defense with them schematically, you saw something a little bit different from North Carolina State. How different is Florida State from what you've seen during the course of the year?
Well, they're very different than NC State, as you mentioned. But they're a 4-2-5 operation, and they'll get in some of the 4-3 stuff and base personnel when they see some of the bigger personnel groupings. But they bring pressure now. They bring pressure, they bring movement, they give you exotic looks on third down. They'll mix up their coverages, and they play man. They have really good athletes that can play man coverage and get up there and press you and make it difficult and make the quarterback get the ball out because they'll hit the quarterback.
Historically, special teams have been a big part of this football game, whether it's a wide right or a wide left or a return. Be no different this week, I'm sure.
Without a doubt. The athletes, they spill over to the special teams units as well over there, and schematically they present their challenges. They're very well coached. They do a really good job.
This rush 3, drop 8, you've had a pretty good dose of that the last couple of weeks. But that's not unusual in college football today, right? Against spread offense. It's kind of been one of the things the spread has seen. Do you expect more of that? And how do you, maybe not give it all away, but from a spread standpoint, that might be the kryptonite. What's the answer to when you see dropping 8?
Well, I think you'll see it again. Anytime you're affected by something, unless you do well against it, You're going to see it again at some point in time. So there were some things there to be had that we didn't do, that we need to just flat out do and execute. And other things that, we certainly have looked at and added a few wrinkles to, if we and when we see it again, to have more success.
Coach, talk about your in-season strength and conditioning, nutrition. You said last week, and I thought it was brilliant, everybody in the country is week 9, and this is everybody in the country is week 10. How do you keep that edge and maintain strength levels and weight levels, whether it's up or down at this point of the year?
A lot of individual monitoring, making sure that we treat these guys almost like prize fighters, where they have to be at a certain weight to be at their very best, that they're putting the right kind of stuff in their bodies and at the right times as well, that they're being supplemented with the right vitamins and minerals to go with that they're hydrated really, really well. From a strength and conditioning standpoint, it's the balance of maintaining strength levels, but also doing the right exercise to stay flexible, to stay mobile, also recovery circuits, right, to regenerate, right, when you're really sore and banged up after another physical game, week 9 and week 10. So nutrition and strength and conditioning work hand in hand. They do a great job with the guys, and the guys appreciate it because their bodies, even though you feel it, they'd be feeling a lot worse without it.
Mm-hmm. Along those lines, been pretty good in terms of injuries for the most part this year, but there have been 2 significant ones on your defensive line, Kelly and Mesidor. That being said, you've had some guys step up, and your defensive line play, I think, has been pretty darn good this year.
Getting better and better. Certainly a really good job by Coach Taylor, Coach Salavea. They get after it. Those guys have really poured themselves into just being coached. And Coach Guidry, schematically, he schemes it up so those guys can play football and not think very much. And I think they've enjoyed that aggressive style schematically. They enjoy the energy and the technique and fundamentals that are being taught with it. And we've grown and developed in that position tremendously.
I want to go back to Mark Fletcher. When you talk to any running back coach, most of the time they say it's without the football, which is important or more important than with the football. It's obvious a back can run, but I watched Fletcher in the game, of course, and did a nice job in picking up blitzes, did a nice job when he did not have the football. That's imperative for almost any position. It's what you do without it.
Without a doubt. And for the wide receiver position, too. You know, if you got to play as hard with or without the ball in your hand. And Mark Fletcher, those other guys who have done a nice job is when they don't have the ball in their hands, that they're involved somehow. They're blocking, they're getting downfield, they're adding on to whatever they need to add on to. They're playing special teams. It's the right DNA. You know, we're really developing the right type of DNA and the right type of culture. And I think, you know, we never look for more victories here. That ain't going to happen. But what stands out, a lot of things stand out, both in a positive way and a not so positive way. But I like the fact that it's first and goal at the 1 yard line, and guys are going to keep bringing it and find a way to get a stop, even when the clock is winding down, right?
That's right.
So I think, I don't know, there's no other way. That's the way it's going to be, and I thought that was, you know what, okay, let's go.
Build on that.
Yeah, the freshmen, they're playing a lot, like a Reuben Bain. These guys have been very effective. The counter is the opposition now probably trying to figure out how to slow them down, whether it's Maui Noah on offense or Reuben Bain on defense. So now they're being scouted, and how do you see them respond? It seems like it's been pretty good, but it's probably a big part of their development.
Yeah, well, if you're good, they're going to find you, right?
Yeah.
If you're a receiver, they're going to find ways to cover you. If you're a good pass rusher, they're going to find ways to chip you or slide the protection to you, right? If you're a good linebacker, they're going to find ways to try to get some hats on you and knock you off the ball. So college football is a great lesson for these guys, right? It's different. They're going to find you. They know where you are, and they know how to block you. So it's good that these guys see that, so they appreciate the value of having really good teammates that work really hard, so they just can't zero in on you. You know, all the more reason to have everyone develop, to continue bringing in great talent, so that you can't zero in on certain guys, and they have to really account for everybody.
Back to your strength and conditioning and the freshmen. Those young men are really done with high school already. We've got another month or so of football to play, and the reps and the practices for them to sustain at this level, like a Reuben Bain and Maui Noah at the tackle. It's compared to the good old days, it's almost amazing that they're holding up so well.
Yeah, because you think about it, they in the summertime it's 8 weeks, right? And camp's about 4.5 weeks, and then now we're into week 9 plus a bye week. That's a lot of weeks, you know. But we also, we really try to work the calendar in a smart way where, we're grinding and we're working hard and we're being physical, but we also find those pockets, right, where you take the load off the body, where you allow the body to recover, or you go to spiders on certain days. But Tuesday, Wednesday doesn't change. Tuesday and Wednesday has to be physical, right? Tuesday and Wednesday, you have to win the physical nature of the game on Saturdays by what you do in practice.
All right, well, it's a big one on Saturday. Florida State Seminoles, Doak Campbell Stadium. I know everybody's going to be ready for that. The very best of luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal. Stay with us. We'll continue right after this. We continue on the Mario Cristobal Show presented by Kia. Joe Zagacki with Don Bailey Jr., Miami and Florida State, Saturday at 3:30 p.m. One way to win that game, take the ball away from them and don't give them the ball. Miami's got to cut down on these turnovers.
So it's almost to the form of an epidemic where it's thought it was fixed, but through the whole season, if you go back today, if it stops today and you look back, what was the reason that Miami struggled in the games that they lost? It all points at one thing, the turnover. And you cannot have it and be successful. It doesn't matter what level you are, if it's the NFL or if it's Pee Wee, it's the same thing. The giveaway take-away battle usually dictates who wins or loses.
Hurricanes were very good in the red zone earlier this year. The last 2 games, they are 3 for 8, scoring touchdowns in the red zone. That's also indicative of they're not getting any points from the passing game. Against Florida State, points in the passing game would be imperative, and the way you get points from the passing game is outside of the red zone. Those 35-yard touchdowns look pretty good.
Well, a lot of time you don't even want to get to the red zone,
right,
like you said. Let it be a 35 or 45 or 50-yard play. It's going to be important for Miami to create the explosive play. I didn't see any last week at the North Carolina State game, but against Florida State, usually the team that has the most X plays, explosive plays, it usually dictate who the winner's going to be.
Canes have won 2 of the last 3 in the series. We'll find out on Saturday. Miami and Florida State. For head coach Mario Cristobal and Don Bailey Jr., I'm Joe Zagacki. Thanks for joining us on the Mario Cristobal Show.